Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Borderlines. Now, today, what we're going to do is a video with a difference. Okay, normally we talk about different types of migration, people traveling here, whether it's holiday, all that type of stuff. But we're not going to do that. As the football was on last night, okay, England versus Argentina. Okay, I thought I'd talk about that. Okay, that's why I say today is going to be a video with a big difference. So, a lot of people, and I came across this post that actually came up on, uh, where it basically was from Wayne Rooney saying that England lost the game because of Thomas Tuchel, or Tuchel, however he wants to pronounce his name. And I disagree with that. I don't think England lost the game because of the manager. I think England lost the game because they lost their nerve and they lost their bottle. And the reason I say this is this. It's quite a simple reason. Now, yesterday, before the game happened, hours before the game happened, I had my father phone me up, and a friend of mine who actually owns this YouTube channel phoned me up and said, "As you got the game result for the previous game against France versus Spain, correct? How about predicting the result in this game?" And I said, "I reckon Argentina will win it 3-0. I think that they will absolutely smash England." And they called me a traitor. They called me a traitor. And I can understand why they said it. Okay. But I'm of the firm belief in life, you've always got to be honest to yourself. Okay. And that's something I've always tried to go by. And this is the reason why I thought England were going to get battered last night. Was from an attacking point of view, you can't argue with it. You've got Harry Kane up there, and you've got Jude Bellingham just behind him, and that's world class. You can't argue with that. Harry Kane could maybe get Ballon d'Or this year, possibly. Jude Bellingham, a potential future Ballon d'Or winner. Okay. So from that point of view, got no problem. But where I do have a problem with England is the entire defence, the goalkeeper, and the substandard. I actually question, does what was Thomas Tuchel even thinking of? If you look at England's team for last night, and if I quickly get it back up, it's ridiculous. Okay, you got James for the first half. I never even heard his name. Okay, then you got John Stones, Geehy, or however you pronounce his name, and Jed Spence. Now, I can't argue Jed Spence was man of the match last night. I know you'd normally say it's going to be the goal scorer, and Anthony Gordon, fantastic goal. Absolutely fantastic. Don't know how he did it. Okay, and all right, I'm normally the first one to have a dig at him. Okay, but fantastic goal. But all in all, Jed Spence, man of the match. But this is where I have a problem with him. All the way through the World Cup, substandard performances. He's doing in the squad. Okay. Because he struggles to get in the Spurs team. Okay. He's never going to get in a top 8 team. It's never going to happen in a million years. Okay. And Spurs almost got relegated. And he still struggled to get in the team, but he can get in the England squad. So that says something about our lack of depth of fullbacks. And when when we're taking Reece James, injury prone, proving it yet again. Okay. You've got Nico O'Reilly. He's not even a fullback. Okay. He's a midfielder at the end of that. He plays in midfield for Man City, and you're having to put him in at left back half the time. So that says a lot about us. We've got an imbalanced team. We're going against where are Argentina ranked? What are they, third? I'm guessing they're probably third because it's top four teams, ranked teams, got to the semi-finals. And the two centre backs are no. If you go over the line, say that either of them are better than the likes of Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Sol Campbell, Tony Adams, all of these types of players. The players that you think of straight away for World Cup teams that we've had. We've been so strong in defence. It has been unbelievable. Our problem's been with the midfield, to be honest, over the last 20 years. Not because it's been so weak, because we've not known where to play players at the end of the day. And now we're in a position where the defence is so poor, it's unbelievable. And if these players don't like it, I don't give a damn. Okay, I'm here to kiss your ass. The likes of Wayne Rooney and all them types of people, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, all of us, they've got financial backers they've got to worry about. They don't want to upset anybody. I ain't here to worry about if I'm going to upset somebody. I personally couldn't care less. The reality is that defence was poor. And all you've got to do is look at this. Soon as England scored, and I said this to my son, because I watched it with my 10-year-old son. 11-year-old. Okay. Because this was the first real World Cup he's actually watched. And we've watched virtually every single game together. Okay, apart from the early kickoffs of 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I said to him, as soon as England scored, we're going to sit back and they can see 2 or 3 goals. What do? They sit back, let Argentina come onto them, and it was wave after wave after wave. And both them goals, especially the second goal, you could argue, should have never happened. The first goal, you could even argue, shouldn't happen. Because to be honest, the attacking player for the first goal, who's 5'0", out-jumped 2 6'3", 6'4" players, and headed it into the back of the net. I don't actually know what that right is, but the argument is he out-jumped them both, and he shouldn't have. This is basic defence play. Okay, absolutely disgusting. Okay, and when you take a look at the second goal, I would say to everybody, go and look at the second goal. Okay, now I don't play football anymore. I used to play football. Okay, before I come on to the second goal, I do walking football now because I can't run anymore. I had pneumonia a couple of years ago. Lost my lungs. When I say I lost my lungs, I just can't run. I play football with guys in their 70s. They can run for longer than me, okay, in their 70s and 80s, because I just haven't got the lungs to do it anymore, just like I had to give up cricket. Okay, so when you look at that second goal, goes out to the far line. The most dangerous player on that pitch goes for that ball. Why is no England defender going to press Lionel Messi? They let Lionel Messi pick up the ball, run towards the box before any of the 6 defenders that are on the pitch, because remember, he's brought on defenders So he's basically playing a six-man defence, okay, before anybody goes to meet him. He goes and passes it to, was it Enzo Fernandez that scored that goal? And he goes and smashes it in the top left-hand corner. Now, as soon as that's on target, I know it's a goal because I know Pickford ain't going to save it. Good with the ball at his feet. Absolutely useless if you take a shot on target, as a general rule. 90% of the time, if you take a shot on target, it's going in the back of the net. Okay, I'm sorry, but he just ain't a good goalkeeper. You know, so who's at fault for that? Is it Thomas Tuchel? I don't think so. The players have got to take accountability for that. They've allowed, for what, 20 to 30 minutes of the ball to be in their half of the pitch. They never pushed Argentina back. They had them on the ropes. They allowed them to have the ball in their half. Okay, it was shot after shot after shot, and it was a matter of time. Because if you just got to look at against Croatia in the semi-finals. Take a look at England versus Italy in the final of the Euros. Okay, same thing happened. Okay, had them on the ropes against Croatia. Let them back into the game. Same thing happens against Italy. Up the left back, Luke Shaw goes and scores. Okay, cracking goal from the left-hand side into, I think it was right-hand corner. Okay, as soon as that goes, we go defensive, and Italy eventually go and get a goal. Same thing happens yet again. Go defensive. Okay. Don't go looking for the second goal to kill the game off. You let Argentina back into the game. You let them have all of the ball. And then the pundits have got the cheek to say it's the manager's fault. I'm sorry, but it's not the manager's fault. Even the captain said he wanted to push them back and get a second goal. His words, captain, Harry Kane's own words after the game. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They let them back into the game. So when you actually look at this, the only people that are to blame for this loss is the England players. Not the management, not the coaching staff, not the FA, but the players. And the players have got to take sole accountability for this at the end of the day. Even though Thomas Tuchel will take accountability because he's that kind of man, the players have to. Because all through that World Cup, maybe apart from about 45, 50 minutes, they've underperformed. And they know that when they get home and they go back to their wives and they go back to their children, maybe even go and speak to their parents or their agents, they're going to know they've choked again. And that's why I said to my father and a friend of mine, England will choke. Because that's what England players do. Because it's a bit like the argument that got put out this season about Arsenal. Will they choke again? Or will they actually grow a pair of balls, sorry for the language, and become men? And that's the same argument for England. Because when it comes to the big occasion, England players choke and can't rise. They just can't do it. It's like that they're scared. Okay? And fundamentally, they just need to grow a pair of balls and actually step up once in a while. Now, we've briefly spoken about that. Okay. Now, next thing we've got to talk about. One thing which doesn't surprise me, didn't surprise me in the absolute least, was that the Argentina players bringing that banner onto the pitch. Now, whether you agree with this or not, and we all know what FIFA are like, the rules actually stipulate that you are not to use football for political grounds. Okay. So several years ago, and I don't know if many people are going to remember this, there was a football game. I'm guessing Argentina were playing South America. Had nothing to do with England. They brought a banner on. And this is days of Aguero playing for them. I think Mascherano was playing for them as well. And they sat behind this banner. I don't know the language. Is it Spanish they speak in Argentina? Basically saying that the Falkland Islands were to be given back to Argentina because it's their rightful property. Basically, words to that extent. Now, they got a formal warning. I think they got a fine as well. Okay. Now, they did the same thing again last night. And there's been allegations that in their changing rooms, they've been singing songs about it. Now, the thing is, what should be done about it? Because they've broken FIFA's rules yet again. And they've done it on the biggest stage going, the semi-final of a World Cup match. You can't get a much bigger stage to do it, short of going to the final and doing it. Now, when you look at it, you've got to look at it from this point of view. Is the Falkland Islands Argentinian territory? Sorry, but it's not. Even the people of the Falkland Islands don't even want anything to do with you. Face facts. That's reality. They don't want anything to do with you. So I believe even in the past, we've even given them a vote on it if they want independence from the British, and they don't. So the reality is, first of all, I'd say shut your mouths. Second of all, I'd also say the likes of Alexis McAllister, I'm going to pick out you, and Enzo Fernandez. Let's see if either of you two who want to do these hard tackles that you did in the game, and you're involved in a team that's done this, okay? Let's not forget, you're in the dressing room, and whether you brought that banner onto the pitch or you stood with that banner, you're still one of the part of the squad, so you're as accountable. Let's see if either of you two have got the balls to come to Portsmouth, or to come to Gosport, or Fareham, in that area, or maybe even down to Plymouth, and actually take that banner down there and walk down a high street with it. Let's see if you've got the balls to do that. Or if you can only do it when you've got a load of security. Because I'm telling you, and I'm telling you this free piece of advice. Gosport. Now, I live near Gosport. I used to live in Gosport. I haven't lived in Gosport for 2 years now. I know people that fought in the Falkland Islands. Okay. Remember, when you illegally invaded the Falkland Islands and got your asses battered by the British. Remember that back in the 80s? I'm sure maybe before you was born and everything, but you got battered. Your country got your asses kicked. But the British don't forget. So let's see if you've got the balls. So bring that banner back to the UK and walk down one of these high streets and see if you've got the guts to do it then. Now, I know you won't do it, and I'd advise you not to do it because you probably would get your asses kicked. You probably wouldn't come out of the city in one piece apart from going to the local A&E, if not worse. So I would advise you not to do something as stupid as that. But what I would advise you to do is when you get on a plane to go back to your club, when you go back to Liverpool or you go back to Chelsea, you go and speak to your chairman and you make the first grovelling apology to the general public, but you can. Because if you don't, okay, you've got to remember, you've got to play matches. Your first team players. Alexis McAllister, you're a first team player for Liverpool. Okay. You've got a lot of English players in that team. And that goes the same for you as Enzo. I would apologise pretty damn quickly. Now, that's one thing. And I know neither one of them do it. Second thing, what should happen? What should FIFA actually do? Because they've actually broken the rules at a pretty high standard. And when I say high standard, what I mean is potentially hundreds of millions of people around the world watching that game. Not just in the stadium, but it's going to be published. It's going to be shown all over the world, in South America, across Europe, everywhere. Now, my view is this. Anybody that brought that banner onto the pitch and any player, okay, or member of the coaching staff but stood with that banner, automatic 1 match suspension, no appeal. That's it. End of story. That means you missed the final. Should have thought of that beforehand. You knew the rules. You've been warned in the past. You've stuck 2 fingers up to FIFA. You stick 2 fingers up to the British people. Okay. Automatic 1 match suspension. And if you don't like it, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. It's simple as that. You break the rules. You knew the rule. Simple as that. So, let me know what you think FIFA should do. Now, we all know FIFA ain't forced to do it, something like that, especially if Lionel Messi was stood with that sign or anything. They certainly won't do it. Okay, so let me know what you think FIFA should actually do about the Argentinian players that brought that banner onto the pitch and stood with it. So that's anybody. Okay, so let us know in the comments down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you all again a bit later.